Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Day 20 of the World Cup. We're approaching 3 weeks, which is been really fast, but we're slowly getting on, and it's been some really good football in the knockout stages so far. I'm recording this just as England have just about won against Congo, and you can see on Twitter trending right now on X or whatever. Trending right now is Cole Palmer, and I haven't clicked on it, and I probably won't, but I can bet you right now the reason why he's trending on social media is because people are going to be saying that Tuchel has messed up not bringing him to the squad, to the World Cup, because the creativity that they lacked in the first half, especially, but also in the second half before they scored, was yeah, it was poor. And I think you know Congo did a great job, but I think when England progressed through and they have got Mexico next, and Mexico will be a difficult opponent. We'll get onto them in just a second. The further England progress, the more struggles they'll find in that area. That creativity in that midfield will be a struggle. But look, we'll save that for tomorrow when we do cover day 21. So stay tuned for that. But let's talk about yesterday. With some big games. We have Ivory Coast against Norway that kicked off first, which Norway won. For me, this was a very exciting game. 50-50 in my opinion heading into it. I know, Norway have Haaland and Ødegaard, Nusa, um, Oscar Bob came off the bench as well. Some really good talent, but you look at Ivory Coast, right? Diomande, Nicolas Pepe, Amad Diallo, should he have started as well? We'll get into that. But, I think it was packed with quality throughout the entire pitch. Um, I didn't think that either side deserved to lose, but I would say Norway deserved to win just about. To be honest, when you look at that first half, I thought Norway were the better side. I thought Ivory Coast responded really well, especially in the second half, and they got their goal. But I never got that feeling that after equalizing, they were really pushing hard to win. I know they obviously are, but it didn't feel like that sort of level of hunger that we saw from Paraguay, for example, against Germany. You know, we didn't see that. And I think ultimately, and also, a bit from Morocco against the Netherlands as well, but, I never felt that level of hunger and motivation from Ivory Coast. And I think if they had that, and they were a bit more clinical in the final third, they could well have won that game for sure. So, like I said, I don't think either side deserved to have lost that game for sure, but I think Norway deserved to win it more. And look, Norway are performing really, really well. They're into the round of 16 where they'll take on Brazil. I personally think Brazil win that game, but it won't be an easy game for Brazil. Right? Norway are very physical side, and I don't think Brazil are. So I think Brazil are going to have to make a lot out of technical ability. Vinny Jr., players like Endrick, players like Ryan. These are the kind of players that are going to make the difference. And also having players like Gabriel, Casemiro, Marquinhos, a bit more height in their team is going to be crucial. But I mean, look, Haaland against Gabriel is going to be an exciting watch for sure. But yeah, I mean, in general, Norway just about deserved it, I suppose. Nusa, what a goal that was! That was, as the commentator said, Martin Tyler. That was a bit like Neymar-esque, and Amad Diallo, quite similar on the other side, but it was a bit closer to goal. But take nothing away from the skill and the finish from Amad Diallo, and then Haaland sort of didn't even know that the ball was coming to him. It felt like, because when the ball came to him from Berg, I believe, he tapped it in, but it was like, oh wait, the ball came to me. Like it really felt like a bit of a lucky moment, but hey, he was there, enough power to tap it in, and you know, another goal for him. I think that's what 5 goals now. I believe in the World Cup this World Cup, which is incredible for a player who's playing his first ever World Cup, and for nation playing their first World Cup in I don't know how many years, but it's been a while. So yeah, I think they can definitely beat Brazil for sure, but I think Brazil will win. But let's see what sort of challenge they give Brazil, because I think physically, you know, they are going to dominate. We saw that from Ivory Coast as well, right? Ivory Coast put in a lot of corners, and Haaland was the guy clearing it, and Christopher Ayer as well. Defending set pieces against this team, sorry, for this team, is cake. It's a piece of cake. So I think technically teams are going to have to come up with better technical abilities and better technical football to break this team down, which we saw from Amad Diallo. So yeah, let's see. Good win from Norway, unfortunate for Ivory Coast. Now moving on, we have got France. Mbappe saw what Haaland did, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna one up on that. I'm gonna get 2 goals." And that first goal was incredible as well. I mean, when we look at Nusa's goal, great finish. It's very similar to Mbappe's first goal as well, by the way. But Mbappe's first goal was a bit more like he took on players, he dribbled past them, he cut inside in the box, he curled it in. That is vintage Mbappe. Like dribbling past players on the left, cutting in, and then selling them one, and then scoring. And Mbappe, I think, is absolutely cooking this World Cup. And let's just debunk this whole France, you know, scrutiny or belief that people have that they're not going to work well as a team and they don't have the team chemistry. I mean, first of all, Mbappe scored his goal, went to Deschamps to hug him and celebrate with him, because obviously we know what happened. Deschamps lost his mother a few weeks ago, but there's that. And then you can see that they work so well. Like Mbappe, Barcola, Dembele, and Olise, they work so well. And even if Doué comes in, he works really well with those guys as well. Like the amount of quality in the attack they have. Like Cherki is not getting any look at. Ryan Cherki is being left on the bench, and he did come on, but you expect this player to start for most teams in the World Cup. Like Ryan Cherki is a baller, right? Benched. That's how stacked this team is. And in my predictions, I didn't predict them to win it. I think I had them in the semi-finals, I believe. But I truly now believe they'll win it. This is a France side that is different than 4 years ago. Now, of course, people are gonna say they haven't played, a top team yet. We're still very early. This is technically still the group stage in previous formatting, because there's 32 teams left, and they beat Sweden, right? But 4 years ago, they had an aging attack. Dembele wasn't this version of himself. Olise was still at Reading, I believe. Cherki was a long way behind. Barcola was still a long way behind. They had Griezmann, great player. Giroud, great player. But they don't terrify defenses like this set of players are. Teams don't look at Olise, Dembele, Mbappe, Barcola, Cherki, Doué. The pace, the technical ability, the flair, that combination, the understanding on the pitch, like it's incredible, really. So, look, this team is really great. I think they will win it now. To be honest, my initial predictions of Portugal winning it, well, a long way, man. But look, I think we've seen some good performances so far. I think Brazil will be good. But yeah, let's see. But France did a good job. On Sweden, look, I had Sweden as my World Cup semi-finalists. I had them as my dark horses of this World Cup. Now, ultimately, they played France, and no one expected them to beat France. But the reason they played France is because they underperformed in the group stage. Now, if they had beaten, if they had finished second in their group, they would have had to play Brazil anyways, and I think they would have lost that. But they would have had more of a chance if they had finished top, which might not look like a possibility now, having seen what they've done. But before the World Cup, it looked possible, right? Netherlands are not that good of a team. We saw that against Morocco. Japan, good team, but I'm sure you can get at them. But I mean, Sweden, they won their first game 5-1, then they somehow lost 5-1 to Netherlands, and then they drew, right? They were not convincing at all, and they drew against France, and they're out. And I believe in my predictions, I had them topping the group if I'm not wrong, which meant they would have played Morocco. And I think against Morocco, they would have had a better chance than against Brazil and France, of course. But having seen how they played, they stand no chance against those three teams. I'm sorry. And it's all caused upon themselves. I mean, I said before the World Cup in my predictions, right? Gyökeres, Isak, Elanga. I had Larson, but I don't think he's in it. For whatever reason, I haven't really checked, but a decent defense as well. Good midfield, Bergville. They have got a very Ayari. They've got a very good team, young team, but good team. A bit of experience in the back as well. Lindelof is playing, but they just lacked something, and I don't know how to explain it, but it just didn't go to plan, and ultimately, I think they've massively underwhelmed. They've massively underachieved this World Cup. But anyways, not to dwell on that. France deserved to win. Sweden, atrocious. Now, lastly, the hosts, or one of the hosts, were involved and they won. Mexico 2, Ecuador 0. Mexico 4 wins, 4 clean sheets. That has not been spoken about enough, by the way. Mexico have kept a clean sheet in every game they've played in the World Cup so far. And I don't think any other team has done that. I can't think of any other team that have done that, to be honest. But, I mean, it's insane, isn't it? Like, I didn't think they would be this good. Like, that's not to disrespect them. I had them finishing second, I believe, behind South Korea, who is another team that have massively underachieved and underperformed. And I think against Ecuador, I probably would have had them winning but I would have expected Ecuador to score, which they didn't. And I look at the defense of Ecuador, like Pacho, Hincapié, they've got Caicedo in the team. Like, Ecuador are another team that I think have massively underachieved. Maybe not as big as people expect, but I mean, they beat Germany in their group stage. In their other games, I mean, they didn't do well. Like, they just about scraped through. Like, if you look at the group stages, they lost to Ivory Coast, and they drew with Curacao, didn't they? I believe. And a lot of the teams that finished third in their group have been exposed. Now, I believe Paraguay did finish third, but they are an exception. A lot of teams that finished third have been exposed because, in a sense, they were lucky to finish third with this new format, which allows 8 teams who finished third, the best 8 teams, to go through. But I mean, look at Mexico. Look at what they did. Look at France. Look at what they did. Like, I think obviously it's a good achievement. If you finish third and you made it through to the round of 32, you will still look at it and go, yeah, it's a good achievement. But I think there was a bit more for Ecuador coming to this World Cup as well. I think they should have finished second in their group, or at least be a bit more competitive along with Ivory Coast. We saw Ivory Coast be competitive against Norway, right? That is the level of competitiveness we expect from Ecuador. None of that today, or last night. None of that. We saw it against Germany, and that sort of faded away. It was like, like, there is something on the line now. We have to get out of this group. They did it, and it was like, we are happy. We are happy with the round of 32. We're happy just being here, and if we leave now, that's fine. And I don't think that was the right approach against a side that, like I said, 3 wins in a row, 3 clean sheets in a row in the World Cup, one of the hosts, a hungry side, and they came all guns blazing. The first 30 minutes, it was Mexico, 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 and two really good goals. Quinones, smart, playing himself on side as he was behind the halfway line. Then Raul Jimenez with a great striker's finish. Like, take nothing away from Mexico because they absolutely deserved it. And like I said, Ecuador, another team, along with the likes of South Korea, the likes of Netherlands, the likes of Japan, the likes of Sweden. Like, there's so many teams that you expect to do better that have massively underachieved, and I think that's fair to say. But yeah, I'll end it there. Let me know what thoughts are down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, hit the button, subscribe. The channel's on already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.